Before I speak about Thanksgiving and this interfaith service, I do want to make mention to the fact that I woke up this morning very, very upset after reading about the possibility that somebody in town, a resident of ours, had gone missing. And it's rare that I actually know the person who had gone missing. In this case, that was the case. It really made me feel horrible, that deep pit in your stomach, to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, to think about what it must be like to have someone who's a loved one go missing. Fortunately, that ended up as a good story, and she was found and returned safely to her home. But we all know that in many instances that's not the case, and I think we need to think that as we face and approach a quintessential family holiday, that there are people in this country, in the world, that go missing and aren't going to be home for the holidays, and we should pray for them as well. I remember a couple of years ago, as many of you know, when I am not mayor, I actually am a physician, and I had a nurse who worked with me for a good decade, and we became good friends throughout that relationship. As most of you know, I come from a Jewish home, a Jewish background. She was African American. And during many of our opportunities to talk about our shared history, we recognized that there was so much that we had in common, peoples who had in time had suffered. And we decided that we would take a trip together in 2011 down to Washington, D.C. at the induction and opening of the Martin Luther King Memorial, which had opened up earlier that summer. And we decided that during that trip we would take our daughters, and in addition to stopping at the Martin Luther King Memorial, we would go to the U.S. Holocaust Museum and study both histories. And if you go to the Martin Luther King Memorial, it is an imposing, large statue, and many of his famous quotes are around that statue, one of which I recall clearly, which said that we have a duty to be both responsible citizens and conscientious stewards of freedom and democracy, coming from a man who was the absolute pinnacle of moral clarity. And that was juxtaposed to going to the Holocaust Museum, where we saw the effects of the absolute opposite, where there was a complete loss of moral integrity. A true modern example of the indignity and inhumanity and indecency which can define the human spirit as well. And yet, even during those times, there were heroic acts of kindness. In fact, at Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem, and at the U.S. Holocaust Museum, there is a term that's given and an award that's given to non-Jews who saved and put their own lives at risk to save Jews during the war. They are called the righteous among nations. And that term is taken from the concept of ger doshev, which is the legal term for non-Jewish observers of the 7 laws of Noah. And those laws are a set of universal moral laws which, according to the Talmud, were given to Noah and his sons. And as you recall, after the destruction of earth, because earth had been polluted, the inheritors of earth was Noah and his sons. So these are laws that are of moral integrity that apply to everybody. And that takes me to today. Because the real beauty of an interfaith service is that the 7 books of Noah, the moral codes for everybody, is like the turkey on a Thanksgiving table. We all have that. All religions share a common purpose and a common moral code, which in the end teaches love. With love comes self-sacrifice. With love comes compassion. With love comes dignity and respect. And with love comes humility. The differences, much like the sides on a Thanksgiving table, it varies from home to home, family to family. The difference is in dogma. Dogma is our rituals and beliefs, and they come out of the core principles. The core principles are inspired by God. Dogma comes from man. And dogma has a two-edged coin. It has the power to create enormous goodness. Some of the greatest things that man have accomplished have come out of positive dogma. But that coin also has a negative side. And with that negative side, we can dive into fanaticism and extremism and hatred. And so whether you're listening to the news today that's on TV or cable news, or whether it's virtually anything else that you read, whether it's social media, cable news, talk radio, it seems that we always seem to focus and hear from the people who speak the loudest, which almost always have a negative message. And yet I have seen incredible acts of human kindness. That has come from simple folks, it's come from clergy, it's, believe it or not, even come from politicians. Are they all candidates for righteous among nations? Have they all put their lives on the line for their beliefs? Some do. First responders do it all the time, put their lives at risk for others. So we see those positive episodes of human kindness all around us. We just sometimes need to concentrate and look a little closer at it. So on this Thanksgiving, at this time, and at this interfaith service, we must stay focused on what's important and be guided by that common moral code to never lose hope. Because in the words of Martin Luther King, we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. May you all have a happy and prosperous Thanksgiving.